Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good.
Awesome.
Good. Got me a new light, so we can hope.
I was just thinking, I hate how dark it is over here.
Yeah, I guess got one that'll help, hopefully. Some. All right, I'll be off for a minute and then I will be back on. I'm going to pull up my screen.
Okay, sounds good. Got a few folks joined us so far. We'll get started here at the top of the hour, but about 9:55, I'll come on and I'll do some instructions. I know the two of y'all who are here right now are pros, but I'll be back on and we'll do some instructions here in about 5 minutes. So just hang tight. Thank you.
Resume recording. All right.
All right. Well, let's get started, Dr. Baird. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Ready for a big Memorial Day weekend, and hopefully everybody is going to have a safe weekend. And I know we're going to be at the pool, although we got 3 inches of rain last night, and it's going to maybe affect my golf game today. So I'm a little disappointed, but other than that, we're good. And then we're supposed to get rain the rest of the weekend, except for Saturday. So we're having all the grandkids over, and we'll have fun.
All
So
right. Very good. Have a hot dog for me, Dr. Baird.
we'll do it. We'll do it. All right, guys. Let's go into this. I'm going to review for everybody. I'm just going to review the programs of Bella and Compassion. At least that way you'll have an understanding of what it is. What it is we're talking about. If you haven't signed up, it may be a repeat if you. But I want to be able to ask questions. So I'm going to go through it fairly quickly so that we can answer questions. If we don't have questions, we'll end it whenever. But let's look at that. Let's look at the pandemic crisis. We've been talking about this. Many of your patients are going to lose up to half their retirement savings. I think it's probably going to be 20 to 30%, but we don't know if this is the bottom or not in the market. I believe that those that are patient will see a fast recovery. It's going to take 2 to 3 years to completely recover. I tell the story of me in 08 selling all my stock after I was so bummed out about losing money in the stock market. And if I would have just kept it in there, I would have tripled my money over the next 7 years after that. So anyway, patient FICO scores are going to drop between 60 and 80 points. In 08, they dropped between 40 and 50 points. And what we know is this is worse than 08. And conventional third-party finance is going to be more difficult to qualify for. So what are you going to do? That's basically the question I have for you is, all right, it's going to be more difficult. So how are we going to address that? We'll talk about the financial discussion. For every 10 crowns diagnosed, according to Gordon Christensen, they're done one at a time, 9 out of 10. Last week, Howard Franz said it's probably 95 out of 100 that are done one at a time. Why is that? Well, dentist diagnoses 5 teeth. Will my insurance cover it? And it doesn't matter if it's 5 crowns. It could be $5,000 worth of work. It doesn't matter. Patients say the same thing. Will my insurance cover it? And that's a fair enough question. They'll cover a portion of your treatment, and your portion is going to be $3,500. What comes out of the patient's mouth next? Can we just do one? And has anybody ever heard that? Because I know I have. Team member, oh, sure, I'll get you set up. And why does it happen? Why do people ask, can we just do one? Well, because they can't afford what we're offering. They literally simply can't afford it. The average person has $4,400 in savings, and over half of Americans have no savings. So think about that. So how do I help patients move forward with all the crowns they need? Well, here's how we do it. It's the same scenario. 5, will my insurance cover it? They'll cover a portion. Your portion's 35. Can we just do one? We say, Bob, you could, but why don't we just use your insurance as a down payment? And we can work out convenient monthly payments as low as $85 a month. And oh yeah, Dr. Baird can give you a pill, a couple of them, and you can sleep, and we can do all the work at one time. What I can tell you is that over 9.5 years, I have never had a patient turn that down, because people don't want to wait 5 years and do it one a year. And that's what a lot of dentists do. Let's just use your insurance this year and next year and the year after. That's ridiculous. It's not the way to help people, because what we know to be true is prices go up, and some of the work that you had planned to do now breaks. You end up extracting, and it ends up costing the patient more. So we're not truly helping our patients at that point. So which would you rather have? And again, I look at this scenario, and it is unbelievable when you think about this. The practice on the left and the practice on the right. Both patients need, $5,000 worth of work. You tell them, their portion is 3,500. On the right side, that's what we talked about a minute ago. They can get all their work done, be sedated. Over on the left, they decide to only do what insurance will cover because they don't have money. So we try to say, well, let's do 3,000 because that's going to maximize your insurance at 1,500, and your portion will be 1,500. Patient says, I can't do that. I don't have 1,500 right now. Can we just do one? Well, they don't have 1,500, so you end up doing, $1,500 worth of work. The patient's portion is $750, and insurance pays $750. Let's assume you have 50 of these patients in your first month back, which what I'll tell you is you're going to have more than 50. In our office now, we're seeing in anywhere from 5 to 8 emergencies every day. And it doesn't take long to get $5,000 worth of work. If you place implants, if you're doing, extraction grafts, this type of work, it does not take long to get to that number. Excuse me. You'll produce 1,500 per patient over here, or $75,000 on these 50 patients. I'm just kind of isolating it to these 50. Look at the right. You're going to produce 5,000 per patient instead of 1,500, or $250,000. That's $250,000. I promise you, it won't take you much longer to do $250,000 than it does for you to do 75,000. It's not about like running around with a chicken your head cut off. What if you could do 5 crowns every time that you needed to do one, or the patient only could do one? What if you could do that? Well, you're going to need longer visits now. That's the new normal. It's going to be longer visits, and it's going to be more difficult for us to do things. The patient on the practice on the left had to pay $37,500 out of pocket during very difficult financial times. The patient had to pay zero out of pocket in very difficult financial times on the practice on the right. Insurance pays the $75,000. So insurance companies are laughing at dentists, I promise you, because they get to save, on these cases, they get to save $700. They get to keep the money that is really supposed to be doled out to the patient. But the most important thing on the practice on the right, you end up with $175,000 worth of short duration, high yield paper paying you over the next 12 to 60 months with interest. Now, when I say this to you, what I want you to understand is this: which would you rather have? Would you rather have, let's just assume your lab costs, I mean, if you're a CEREC user, it's $30 a unit, but let's say you're paying 60 or 70 or whatever it is. If insurance is paying the $75,000, which would you want to have? Would you want to be the practice on the left or the practice on the right where insurance is paying it? I would much rather have the insurance pay it, and I'm helping my patients. But look at what else you get. By doing a little bit more work, taking you a little bit more time, you picked up $175,000 worth of debt paper. And this is collateral. This is not an accounts receivable. This is an asset. That's why we call it a portfolio. It is critical for you to understand that. And you're going to get a copy of this. Look it up online, debt paper, and it's going to be amazing once you realize. And then you start worrying about things like, what if they don't pay me? Well, let's get to that. Be careful, the herd mentality. Be careful when you follow the masses. Sometimes the M is silent. I was on with Gary Tackix yesterday. Gary said the same things that basically I said, about insurance companies, and their interest is not in following us. And from the front of the room, both of us had told people not to be the banker over the years. Well, we both agree, hey, it's a great time to be the banker. And we've been doing this now for 10 years. We're in it for good. Compassionate finance. It's the most innovative payment solution that makes dental and healthcare affordable. The benefits of doing good while doing good: you could totally fund your retirement plan, pay off your student loans without affecting your take-home pay, and take your family on a 2-week vacation paid for out of your other business. We recommend setting up a separate account outside your practice to create wealth. And within 5 to 7 years, if you're using it and you're doing a great job helping people, you're going to be making more money in your finance business, your secondary business, than you are in your dental practice. So how do I do that? Well, you finance 25 grand a month, assuming a 20% default, and all the fees charged by Compassionate Finance, and you do 25%, 25,000 a month. At the end of 12 months, you've got $6,000 a month coming in almost, and a portfolio of $230,000 paying you. At the end of 60 months, you've got almost $28,000 a month coming in. We've got doctors right now that are bringing in $30,000 and $40,000 a month on patients that they worked on 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And you end up with a portfolio by July of 2025. If you started July 1st, you'll have almost $1.25 million in paper that's paying you, that has amazing value. So what's your risk? You're not putting up money. Your hard costs are covered. We always recommend that 20% down. And it's totally based on the value of your time. So you're covering your hard costs. What are hard costs? That's your supply cost. That is your lab cost. Yes, you say, well, I have electricity to pay. I have all these things. Well, what I want you to think about is if you're doing just for numbers, if you're doing $100,000 a month now and you decide to start doing 25,000 in compassionate finance, what I can tell you is it's not going to affect your 100,000 at all. It's not going to affect that. What you're going to find is you're now helping more people. And instead of doing the 1 crown, now you're doing 5. And so it's stacked on top of that productivity. We actually, I talked to a doctor yesterday who said, well, could I do that? And will it affect the value of my practice? Because he's about to sell his practice here in a year or so. I said, no, it's not going to affect your value. You're going to continue to do what you've always done, but now you're going to add on these patients that we're going to go down to the cheapo depot and have the work done. But instead, they really want you to do it. You just didn't have the financial options for them. And so this is where that can really help you. The face of compassionate finance, it's, she couldn't get the work done, but now 1 day after extractions at full mouth, she's got makeup on and a beautiful smile. That's what I love. That's how I love helping patients. It's what we do. And I want to be able to help more people. The A's and the B's and the C's and the D's and the E's. The A's are the great credit. The E's are the not so good credit. Well, what I can tell you is A's, get approved by third-party financing. Some B's do. That credit score is anywhere from 660 up to 850. That's the B's and the A's. So now it's probably going to squeeze up a little bit. So you're going to have most of the A's and half the B's getting approved. But what are you doing for the rest of the B's, the C's, the D's, and the E's? Nothing. You're not doing anything for those people except saying, well, pay a little bit at a time and we'll get your work done. What I'm going to say, if you got 1,500 down, whether it's insurance, or whether it's out of your pocket, or if you got 1,000 down, what I do to get 20% down is I look at how much do you have to put down. And if it's insurance of 1,500, I know I can multiply that times 5 and I can do up to $7,500 worth of dentistry. So I'm getting to help 1 patient a week is all I need to do to get this 25,000 a month. And Gary in his office has said he sets up a certain amount. He says, this is how much we want you to do in compassionate. He tells his team. And, they used to set 9 years ago, they set the bar at 15,000. They're way above that now. But their goal, he's talked about yesterday, is to have 1 million in portfolio paper as soon as possible. And because they realize that recession proofs, it also pandemic proofs your practice. And we're thinking 180 degrees different than what we've ever been taught. But we know it works because we have 10 years of hard work and experience behind this. You can expect from compassionate finance to help more patients by making care budget friendly for everyone, perform more comprehensive dentistry in single appointments, generate more revenue, monthly payments with interest, industry-leading cloud technology for evaluating risk and loan performance, best-in-class training and customer support, and our experts manage every aspect of your loan contracts. We don't want your team to have to do this. This is something that compassionate finance does for you. Simple 1-page application, takes 5 minutes, usually done on an iPad in the office. And here's what I want you to look at. This is interesting. 17.9% interest. In 38 states, you can charge up to 18%. There are some states that you can't. We can talk about those, but we have that information on all 50 states. We have docs in all 50 states. So it says approved, but you know that this is 17.9. So that's the worst of the worst. That's the E-credit patient. If it was an A, it might be 6 or 9 or whatever you determined that you wanted to charge. But the E is 17.9. So we know that they're 500 or below credit score. So when you look at their credit rating, it's bad. But we look at their banking history also, and that's good for this patient. And many of them are. So what this says is that they're not writing NSF funds. They're not, switching accounts. They pay for their car. They pay for their house on time every month. And so we get an insight into their handling of money. They may have had a divorce. They may have had something happen to their credit rating. Could have been a pandemic. They could have lost their job. Could have been an economic downturn. We don't know those things. But what I can tell you is this can be very predictable. 95% of Americans want to pay, and they will if they can afford it. And so that's where making dentistry affordable is going to be critical for you. Now, if this said bank rating bad, and credit rating bad, over here you'll see application status call for manual approval. And the reason we want you to call us is we want to give you the info. Hey, this guy doesn't do good with his checking. It's probably not the kind of person you're going to want to work on. Would I ever work on somebody like that? Yes. If they come in and I've got 4 implants to do, and it's going to be $8,000, and it's going to take me an hour to do it, and the patient says, "Doc, I don't have 8,000. I only have 5,000." Well, I'm going to look at that and say, well, sure, we can finance the rest. We can finance the other 3,000. That's business 101. I mean, 1 hour of time, 5,000 cash. I mean, yes, I just say yes to that. They get to pick their payments, and don't focus on the interest rate. Focus with the patient on payments. And I have patients that will say, well, I think I could do $286. And my team is instructed through their verbal skills to say, well, Mary, I mean, why don't we just do 144 a month? It's much easier for you. In other words, when was anybody given that opportunity? Usually it's, this is what you're buying and your payments are this much. It don't matter if you can afford them or not. They can adjust how long they pay. Is it good for us? Yes, we get more interest over a longer period of time. And we tell the patient, Mary, but anytime you want to prepay that, no worries. So let's make your payment affordable now. And when you want to prepay it, let's say you get a check back from the IRS or from the government, boom, pay it off. Last week, we had 24 people pay off their full balance in one day, which was a record. And so people say people don't have money right now. Well, all federal government employees are still getting paid. All the teachers, a lot of people are still getting paid. And then the people who haven't been are making more money on the expanded unemployment than they were making in the office. So remember those things. Simple retail installment contract with a signature on the bottom. That's very different than saying, Mary, why don't you just pay us $1,000 a month over the next 4 months? Because you know what happens, and you guys all know what happens. They pay the first month, and then the second month, it doesn't get there on time. So what are you doing? Your team's having to get up, try to call them, and guess what? They don't answer the phone. Why? Because they know they owe you money and they didn't send the check. And so it becomes your problem at that point. There's no interest associated with those deals. You don't have anything to offset your risk, and you're constantly having to badger people to try to get the money. We don't have to do that. There's great dashboards available for you, information, you can run reports, everything is right there for you. We bill and collect from patients via ACH each month. We do direct deposits on Friday every week. We provide all customer service, and then we initiate collections when necessary, emails, text messages, and phone calls. Our performance speaks for itself. We've done over 20 million in interest paid out. We're approaching 300 million in total loans that we've done. And we have had a fee for years, and actually it used to be a lot more than 1,500, but it was 1,500, which was a setup fee to get your office trained and go through the whole process. Also, we have a software license agreement of $199 a month. That $199 allows you to do unlimited credit checks, unlimited applications. So some people, we used to use it and we didn't have a fee, and so we ended up having to charge that fee because of just the unlimited use. And then we have a $4 per transaction, so $4 a month. And then there's a 0.5% of the remaining principal, which means if you're doing if you have a $100,000 portfolio of paper, then what you're going to find is you're going to be paying compassionate finance around $500, somewhere in that neighborhood. We have waived the entire account setup fee, and we have waived the software licensing fee. So the opportunity, this is till July 1st, so that this gives you the opportunity to get trained, to start using compassionate finance. And we have seen our numbers at Compassionate, they dropped, obviously, when everybody was closed, they dropped drastically. Now our numbers are going up at a rapid rate that I've never seen. And we've been doing this now for 10 years. So I'm excited because we're able to help people that need the help with very, very, very low risk. Interest offsets risk, and that's the thing to remember. So let's stop now and see if we have any just specific questions to.
We do, but it's actually an Abella question so far.
Right. You want to just go into Abella, or?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and do Abella? And hey, everybody who might have just joined us late, if you have any Q&A questions, you can just go down to that button and type them in there. This is a great opportunity. Anything compassionate finance, anything Abella, get those questions in today, and we'll be happy to get those answered for you. So we're going to go ahead and do the Abella walkthrough, and then we'll just go through all your questions at the end. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Stephen. Abella, it's an account receivable solution. It's different than compassionate finance. People always say, well, can you use compassionate finance to collect money owed to you? Well, that's what Abella does. It's a different product. Compassionate is used when you're setting up treatment for patients before the work's been done. Abella helps you collect after the work's been done, if that makes sense. When was the last time you upgraded your AR billing process? The answer is never, because no one's changed. They all do paper statements. They're suboptimal. They're expensive, relatively ineffective, and not preferred by clients. Phone calls, intrusive, ineffective. We did a survey, oh gosh, it's been about 3 months ago. And the option, this was for team members. They said, okay, you have 3 options. You wake up in the morning and you absolutely love calling people about money. Number 2, you can hike in the desert for 5 miles with no water. Or number 3, you could eat Brussels sprouts every day for the next week. And 91% chose Brussels sprouts in the desert. Only 9% said they loved just calling for collecting money. So that's a problem in itself. 88% of patients want an easier, faster way to pay. Abella, we've been around now with Abella for about 1.5 years. We've actually collected over $1.5 million in the last 6 weeks for doctors who didn't even have team members in. It was automated. It automatically collects the money for you. So I'll share with you how that works. It manages patient AR in a breeze with Abella's integration into your software. Multi-location management, submit patients to Abella by the click of a button, choose to skip or exclude payments from the invoice, and you'll get training on all of this, and you walk through everything just like what I'm doing now. Preview your patient AR batch before submitting, and automatic invoicing. Patients receive a link to view, pay their invoice through SMS and email, frequent, friendly, consistent, every 5 days until the patient pays, up to 90 days. Hi, Amanda. You have a balance due our office, Mansfield Dental Group, and also these are branded for your brand, for your office. To view your invoice, pay off your balance, or choose from a menu of payment options, click the link below. There's a lot of text message companies out there that say, oh, we do collections. No, they don't. They just send a text message to say, call and collect. What we have is a portal that allows them to pay with, they can pay with credit card, they can pay with, a debit card, HSA, anything they can pay. And they can even set up monthly payments that's automatically taken out by Abella. Abella makes it effortless for patients to pay. They can click and view their entire invoice, and then they can pay in full or choose monthly payments. Now, they can't choose monthly payments if they owe $42. Okay, and we have a best practices, but you can make that decision. We'll help you. They pick the payment date, the payment info, and they enroll in auto pay. Automatic payment posting. I love the bidirectional integration. Payments made via Abella are auto posted back to your dental medical software daily. Now, what I will tell you is if a patient uses a credit card through the portal, there is a 2.5% fee. If the patient comes and pays at your office, there's a fee. So we're just passing that fee on. Now, if it's American Express, it's higher than that. If it's some of the others, it's lower than that. We just averaged it out at 2.5%. Allocate provider payments to specific providers in your practice, associates, whatever. And the payments you collect in the practice are synced back to Abella. So if I'm driving down the road and I got a text message from that office and I went in and paid my $100, Abella recognizes the payment's been made and it no longer sends statements. It's awesome software. Abella notifies patients of failed and pre-collections. Hi, Amanda, our records show that your open balance due to our office is more than 60 days past due. Please pay your invoice or set up a monthly payment plan by clicking the button below. Failure to pay or set up a payment plan in the following 15 days could result in your account being transferred to a collection agency. For questions, call our office. Wouldn't you rather have the patient be able to choose? We had a patient owed us $3,500 for 5 years. And most offices, I mean, you just kind of write it off, but you never even send it to the collection agencies because you never get any money from them anyway. So what we know now is we picked up, they made financial arrangements. They made payment options. And we got payment on that $3,500. And I was like freaked out. It was 5 years old. We picked up an extra $77,000 in 28 days. The doc I was telling about yesterday he said he had over $230,000 in AR. And he said, you think we should do a Bella? I said, with your eyes closed, you just sign up. It doesn't cost you anything. I guarantee you're going to collect 40 or 50 grand. And it could be as high as 60 or 70 grand. We have robust analytics providing 360 view of your AR. This is Corson Dentistry up in Parker, Colorado, up just outside of Denver. We had 300 accounts in 90 plus days in AR. So the decision to go forward with a Bella was a no-brainer. The same collections results would have taken a team member months, mostly driven by unanswered, unwanted calls to the patient. The return on investment for our group was very high, and our patients now have an easy way to pay. And that's from Cali. With a Bella, we collected from people with accounts 2 to 3 years old that had ignored the traditional methods. In the first 60 days, they collected greater than $70,000 of problematic AR. Greater than 80% of that was over 90 days, and greater than 95% was over 60 days. So we're talking massive difference. And this is so much more effective than sending a statement, which patients look at, and it goes file 13. There's no, so that's what ends up happening to most billing. This is a large group, 150 location group, but here's the thing to look at, and we're seeing this across the board. 53% collected of 90 plus day AR. That's unheard of in the industry. MB2, Louis Guzman from MB2, he's the director of practice integration. Abella's amazing. It saves our office time, and most patients pay before a statement could be delivered to their mailbox. And our collections have been at an all-time high since implementing Abella. Look at this, a 30% increase in AR collected, a 60% decrease in the cost to collect, and a 72% decrease in days sales outstanding. What I will tell you is most offices have one person that handles insurance and they handle AR. And they spend 83% of their time on hold with insurance companies and dealing with those people. And they spend 17% of the time doing collections, and they run their collection report and they take the high balance first, and that's the way they work down. If they see something that's $50 or 60, they don't want to make a call for that. So what they do is next time they come in, let's make sure we collect it. And then that doesn't happen. And so it's inefficient and it's ineffective, 100%. So we have a new way of doing this. And I promise you, it won't be long till we're going to have 50, 60,000 offices using this. We've actually signed up more people in the last 8 weeks than we did in the last year. So setup and integration was $1,000 per location, and we have a software licensing fee of $299. We've actually waived both of those. So now when I say this, it costs you nothing to set up. It also costs you no monthly fee until July 1st. And there's no obligation to continue beyond the trial. Meaning you could say July 1st, let's say you collected 40 or 50 grand over the next few weeks. Like I say, we've collected over $1.5 million in the last 6 weeks. Let's say you collected 40 or 50 grand. At the end of that time, you can say, you know what? We don't need you guys. We love what we do before. That's fine. There's no obligation. So this is the perfect time to sign up for this. You can send an email, and I know that he's going to have an actual link that you can hit over in the notes section that you can go straight to the page and you can apply for both of them. It's not going to cost anything. So anyway, that is the end of my little time with you guys.
I will say, I laughed very hard when you said those people.
Yeah. I was almost going to say like a really bad word. I didn't.
Well, great restraint here on a Friday, Dr. Baird. Thank you so much. That was good for a laugh. Yes, I have put that link over in the chat. If you don't know how to get to the chat, you just hover over the Zoom module, click that chat button, and you'll see that offer page. If you're still not convinced, you can get a version of the presentation Dr. Baird just did for Abella and Compassionate Finance by clicking Send Me the Demo. But if you're ready to sign up and get into our training queue, just click that button. It's going to cost you the same amount today, whether you get the demo or whether you say send me an agreement. So the choice is yours.
Yep.
All right. So our first question was an Abella question. Hi, I'm still trying to figure out how far back you can collect AR. Is there a time limit?
There is no time limit. And well, I say that there could be some government regulation in a state, but we haven't had it. We're actually going to be coming to Canada also, it looks like, starting in the next few months. So that we're excited about that. But yeah, no, we've collected stuff from 2015, which that was the 3,500 I was talking about. I was amazed. I mean, I just like, it's like the patient knew they owed it and they've known for 5 years they owed it, but they never really had an option. They didn't want to answer the phone from the office. They hadn't come back to the office, but they were able to pick a payment option, and that's no interest. Now, over on the compassionate side, you're charging interest based on risk. On this, the work's already been done. You just want your money. And so putting interest in there doesn't make sense. So, but yeah, you can go back as far as you want. We're actually going back 9 years, and there's a good possibility that we're going to be continuing this long term as far as being able to go back after money that's owed.
Yeah, I mean, people change their addresses. People don't change their phone numbers, but people also don't answer phone numbers they don't recognize anymore. So, I mean, like, if you send me a text message, I'm going to get it. And as an Abella customer on the patient side, I will say it's a much easier way to pay and much faster for the dental office as well.
Right.
All right. Does Compassionate Finance train our team? What is the process once we get signed up?
Yeah, there's going to be team training. We're actually working right now, which it will be launched, I think, July 1st. But it's going to be, everybody is into gaming, video gaming and all kinds of competition gaming. But we're actually going to be launching training for your team, and we're gamifying it. It's going to be pretty exciting, and we're not finished with it yet. We've been working on it. We've been working on it hard for the last 2 weeks, but we will be complete in our launch date for that training for the team. But you'll have all the training videos, everything ahead of time. And obviously, if you have questions, we've been doing one of these every week. We're going to do one every month or so. And I'll do them in the evenings because now a lot of people are going to end up going back to work. Well, so we'll do one of these a month where I can answer questions for anybody that has them. You can also call us. And right now, I'll be honest, our team is swamped, but they can get you uploaded. They can get you going within a couple of days. But the log of people, what we've realized is this period of time is just how valuable it is for the offices, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. So it's really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And once you get that training, your ability to use it is almost instantaneous. We've done a training at 11 a.m. We've done a loan through a practice at 1 p.m. So once you get it, it's plug and play.
Yeah. Let me say one other thing, which I didn't have the slide on this one, but on this presentation, but interest offsets risk. And that's what you have to understand. Why have we never done our own financing? Well, we didn't know how. We've been told not to. But third is, what if they don't pay me? Well, what we know is an e-patient, the worst of the worst, below 500 credit score, we know that they default at 17%. And that's a fluctuating number. Right now, it may go up to 18, 19%. Could go to 20. Not worried, because what if it went to 20% default, meaning 1 out of 5 patients default? Get your financial calculator out and figure 80% of the people are paying full note at 17.9% interest. So the interest that they pay offsets the risk from the one that doesn't. And we have a dashboard that you look at every month. And if you ever have a patient default on a loan, and that happens, I mean, you're doing subprime, you're not doing lending, you're doing subprime, you're working on subprime credit patients. It's your time value, not your money value, because the 20% is covering your overhead, your overhead, your lab and your supplies. So you got to be sure that you're following in that, with that thought process in mind. And so bottom line, interest offsets risk. And we know that. And when you have one patient default and all of a sudden you freak out, and we've had people call us saying, hey, I'm done. We just had a patient default. Yeah. And y'all don't guarantee it. You don't guarantee my payments. Here's something I'm going to share with you. if you hear a company that says they do no credit checks and they guarantee your payments, run, because it's a scam. And there have been a bunch of them out there. They've changed their model, they changed their names, but they keep coming back. We've been around for 9.5 years. You go look at our 5-star ratings. That's what we do. We take care. It's started by a dentist, me, and I'm going to make sure I take care of us. We also work with ophthalmology, dermatology. You go down the list. We work with all these guys. And so, run, because there is no way you can guarantee a payment. I mean, if that was the truth, then Care Credit would go all the way to the E's. They just don't do that. So it's totally, if it sounds too good to be true, I promise you it is too good to be true. I promise you. And they'll come to us and say, hey, will you take over these 1,400 accounts for us? We go, hell no, we won't. First of all, it was a crappy model to start with, and I'm not stupid enough to say yes to that. So that's my story there, and I'm sticking to it.
No, that's perfect. I mean, well said. That really, I mean, like, that's the true lay of the land, right? I mean, it's just not feasible. So does Abella work with SoftDent?
Yes, it does. It does. And even if you had a software that we found a lot of softwares that I wasn't familiar with. We work with 95% of the software out there, but let's just say it's a software we don't. First of all, if we know about it, maybe we can integrate with it. Number two, we can teach you how to run your reports so that you can plug it into Abella and still use it. It just won't be quite as easy. It won't be quite as easy on the bidirectional integration. So it can still be used.
Yeah, exactly. It works with everything. It integrates with most. And I mean, like you said, if there's a company that we need to reach out to and perform an integration, that's certainly something that we're interested in doing.
Absolutely.
All right. Does Abella add finance fees?
No. And this is just me. I don't know. That's a good question. Of could you, if you wanted to? I'd have to defer to Charles Brown in the office to see if we could add interest. But I look at it as the work's been done. I just want to get the money, and I want to make it as easy as possible and have them make payments and do whatever. But I don't want to have my team spending time worrying about AR. Truthfully, I want them, and I really hate them being on hold with insurance companies 83% of their time. I'd rather have that one person helping patients, and in a way they are by confirming that they have insurance and all those things. But and this is not something to replace your AR person, but this is something they will absolutely love you for $299 a month with medical right now. We have worked with some huge groups that we're doing a 25-75 split, meaning we're taking 25% of everything we collect. Well, in my office, 25% of $77,000 would have been pretty good. We'd have made like 18 grand, as opposed to $299 a month. So this is a no-brainer of all no-brainers. And right now it's even more of a no-brainer because it doesn't cost you anything to get some collections. And in July 1st, you can tell us to take a hike if you chose to. I believe you won't, but hey, I don't care if you do or not.
Oh, right. Perfect. I have a CIRAC in my office management. I have Centric as my office, CIRAC on the brain. I have Centric as my office management system and Weave for patient communication. Do you have any recommendations for merchant services, parentheses, credit card payments with lower percentages?
I don't. I wish that was something that I had more knowledge about. I don't. I know, we've got people that are paying like 1.6, 1.7 MasterCard Visa, but I don't know enough about it. So I apologize for that.
What happens if I don't use compassionate finance one month? Do I still get charged a monthly fee?
The monthly fee, absolutely. That is, what we don't want you to do. I don't want you to sign up for compassionate finance if you're not going to use it. I want you doing 5 crowns instead of 1. When the patient says, can we just do 1? That's like the green light special. When somebody says, can we just do 1, your team should all be totally trained on that thought process. When they say, can I just do 1? Well, you could, but why don't we do this? And so Yeah, I wouldn't. If you're not going to use it, don't use it. If you don't use it 1 month, it's $199. My hope is, like, we have docs that have 300, I mean, have 30,000 coming in every month. They're not really worried about the 199. The 199 for us, the reason we have it is because we had lots of people sign up in the first few years. We didn't have a monthly early, but they would sign up and they would just use us for credit checks. Well, we're paying for the credit checks and there's no fee to them. And that just didn't work out for us. It was not a good business model. So we changed it. And so because of some, asses, you're having to pay $199. So,
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, you use it 4 or 5 times a month. This pays for itself extremely quickly. And Abella, I mean, forget about it. We had somebody who was sitting in this webinar who sent us an email testimonial saying that they reclaimed $33,000. I mean, like, that's a deal.
With no employees on lockdown. So that's pretty cool, and I'm not going to take it to 25-75 split. I'm not going to. Would we do well? Oh my gosh, we would kill it. Would it be beneficial still? Yeah, because if I just said over 90 that we took 25% and you kept 75%, I could still get people to sign up left and right. I know as a dentist, I don't want all that crap. I just want to be simple, a monthly payment. It's taken care of just with what's collected. I don't even worry about it. And that's what I wanted, with Avella. And that's what we're going to continue with. We're not going to change that. Now with Medicine, we're going in where guys have $50 million in AR. And, so, hey, it's a great opportunity for our company.
Yep, exactly. And here's a good one. If a large part of past due AR is pending from insurance, how does that get addressed?
Well, the good news is Abella recognizes that, and it's not going to send statements until the insurance is paid. Once insurance pays, flags Abella, and then Abella sends out and again, Abella doesn't do it without you saying yes, 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 yes. But all you have to do is look at insurance, but it knows, it'll put it on your batch list. And so all you have to do is say yes to all, go down through, make sure that insurance is paid all they're going to pay. So yeah, it's great. I mean, it just figures that out for you.
Can you sign up with one checking account and switch when you open a new one?
Can you sign up for Meta? Sure. Yeah, you just have to let us know.
Yeah, we can get you taken care of if you're switching banks or anything like that. I will say we've had some folks say, hey, I'm waiting a little bit. I might be transferring over to this software, or I might be making a move in a month. Well, if you're making a move in a month, you're going to have to pay a setup fee. So if you're going to change bank accounts and worry about that, don't worry about it. Come on in right now. We'll get you taken care of.
If you went from EagleSoft to Dentrix or whatever, that's fine. We just put it over on Dentrix and just keep on trucking. So, and compassionate finance is one of those things. I'm telling you, by using it and by helping people, you create more revenue in your bank. I want you to open up a separate account. And let me say this just for clarification. 20% down goes into your software. That's a 20% down payment. You write off 80%. You write off the rest to compassionate finance. Let compassionate collect it. You just wrote off $80,000 worth of paper to your new company over here. That's your company that you own. And if you were to have a default on something, what I want you to do is to say, oh, I quit. No, I want you to go to your dashboard, because your dashboard's going to show, you know what? We've got 137 contracts out. We have one default. The interest off of these other more than covered. As a matter of fact, when you look at your dashboard, it says, oh, we're collecting 107% of our usual and customary fee because of interest. Now, if it was a worst case scenario, and let's just say you had, big time defaults, 20% defaults, it's still, you might be at 94% of your usual and customary fee. Well, dentistry is one of those things. 93.5% is the average collection rate in the U.S. That was based on dental economics. Dentists sign up for PPOs with a 38 to 40% discount to start with. You can do it on PPO patients, you can do it on anybody. So it's no risk. The only risk you have using compassionate finance is if you're not using it. If you do 10 loans, 15 loans, 30 loans, 50 loans, 100 loans, the more loans you do, the less risk you have. And when I say risk, it goes to zero or sub-zero. You're actually making money. And I've had a good friend of mine who they did a lot of loans. They did like $400,000 in loans. And then all of a sudden I noticed that they weren't using it anymore. And I called him up. He said, oh, we had way too many defaults. It just wasn't working for us at all. I go, really? Okay, well, let's pull up your dashboard. They were at 104% of the using it. He said, really? I said, yeah. Because his team would run to him and say, hey, we had another default. Well, hell, you're doing subprime shit, you know? I mean, yeah, you're going to have some people that don't pay. So, but your interest offsets your risk. We have to think different. We just have to think different.
All right.
Are you still with us, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm with you. You were frozen there for a second. Are we good now? Okay, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was frozen.
I was frozen. You were frozen. You know, the internet just backfired there for a quick second. All right. Are you doing anything special in hygiene like ADS/AJAX system?
Is that I'm not familiar with it, so I don't know. We're not doing it.
Yeah, Dr. McElvin, we don't know that one. If you want to elaborate on what that might be, we can re-ask that one. All right. We had I thought the 199 was waived. Was it just until July 1st or thereafter?
Till July 1st.
Yeah.
You start using it, you don't have the monthly payment for the month of May or for the month of June, and no setup fee. The 199 just protects us for, you know, because we looked at the numbers of credit checks, the number of credit checks that we were paying for, and the number of people who didn't go forward with the loans. We just had to charge it. So, but again, that fee is a nominal fee when you consider if you're using the product. So I just want you to make sure you're using it, and or don't sign up for it. I mean, it's going to help patients. You're going to see more people. You're going to do more dentistry. And just that example of 50 patients, on one hand, you're doing 250,000. The other hand, you're doing, 75,000. Which would you rather have? How many of the $175,000 paying you interest would have to fail for you to want to go back to the other way? Just simple business. Just simple business. I'll take my chances on $175,000 worth of paper all day long because I got to do the work. And again, you'll create more revenue in your finance company than you will in your business if you continue doing it and continue using it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the thing that I like to stress too is if you're going to be doing marketing that you're back open and you're marketing to 100% of a zip code, any typical zip code in the United States has about a 35 to 40% now subprime area. So you are going to be bringing patients and marketing to them directly, putting them in the chair, getting a treatment plan together, and then you're going to have to tell them no if you don't have a financial option that works for them. This is like an easy way to maximize your marketing and to maximize your chair time. It really is.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, they say the average dental practice has 23% of their time open. I don't believe that. I believe it's 50% of their time open, because if the average dentist is doing $3,400 a day, that's $425 an hour. What are they doing the other 6 hours? I mean, 2 hours of doing that. I mean, what's that? 3 or 4 crowns, 5 crowns, whatever it is. I do that by 10 o'clock. I'd have a tea time. I have lunch with my buddies and have a tea time at 1. And, there's just no way. But that's the average dentist in the U.S. Why? Because they don't have financial arrangements. There's no shortage of dentists. I can tell you there's no shortage of dentists. ADA will tell you, oh, we're going to build more. There's access to care problems. That's total BS. There is no access to care. There's access to good financial arrangements problems, because it's the same old, same old. Everybody's going after the A's and B's. Nobody's helping with the C, D's, and E's. Nobody. Now, if you can start helping, and I don't care if a patient's an A or an E, I could care less, because I'm going to do their dentistry. I'm going to do their dentistry. And you know what? The E's are just as profitable as the A's across the board. It's just a whole new way of thinking. Remember the herd mentality. Everybody goes down the path. I'm in my study club. Dentist said, I'd never do that. You're so stupid to be doing that. Well, you know what? Because they've had their head up their butt too for a long time. Me too. I include myself. I told people do not be the bank for a long time, until I actually sat down with Excel spreadsheets and started running the numbers and ran a business model on this. And I said, this is ridiculous. Why are we not involved in this? People were glad to take a 10% discount and get cash up front. A $10,000 case, I'm gladly going to take 9. Unfortunately, that's 37% of your profit. It's not 10%, it's 37% of your profit if you're an average dental practice. So And people are signing up for a 40% discount off the fee with a PPO. Well, that's really not what that fee is. That is what you're spending on marketing. And that's what Gary and I talked about yesterday, tactics. He goes, if you're writing off 40,000 a month to PPOs, that's your marketing budget. It's not, so what could you do with 40? Well, you could do a lot with it. Could you market to patients? Yes. Perception's reality. That's the interesting part.
Yeah, no, you and Gary had a great conversation yesterday. I just put a link to that episode over there in the chat. If you just want to click that, it'll open another window for you. Hit pause and then return over here. But definitely listen to that episode. It's very enlightening stuff.
Yeah, we had fun. That was so much fun yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Are past due notices sent to patients via email or text?
Yes, through Abella. Through Abella. And actually, it's done through compassionate finance too. If they miss a payment, we go right after them. And another thing for you to know is with compassionate finance, if we don't collect it, you don't pay anything. You only get paid if it's collectible. Once a patient's behind, then that's in a status that we don't take a piece of the portfolio fee. So, I thought that's fair, and that's where, when I'm thinking, I'm a dentist, I think like a dentist, and I want it to be something that could be integrated into any practice in the country.
All right, perfect. The application is asking for bank account information. Are you saying that with Abella, you keep the same checking account that you currently have, but with Compassionate, you open a separate account?
Absolutely. Abella, that's an AR that is accounted for in your software. Whereas your secondary account, that's your new business. That's your evergreen revenue business. And when I talk about that now, gosh, I've got guys that are calling me now and they just say, I am so thankful that I've been doing this now for 6 years or 7 years. And I've got all this money because I'm getting these monthly payments coming in. And then with Abella on top of it, if they were to hit their AR, bingo, that's cash, that's found money. But yes, your regular practice account, that's where your AR goes. Your compassionate, the 80% you wrote off, the 20% goes into your software, the 80% you write off goes into your new business. Now I do credit if I get $5,000 worth of payments into that every month, and that's been our monthly, I credit that to my team bonuses because, I don't want them to not want to do compassionate finance. And we have a daily bonus that we're going to be talking about, and we're going to be doing a course starting next Wednesday evening. And you can go to productivedentist.com, and it's going to be on Wednesday night, and we're going to do a 30-day course, and it's going to be really addressing getting back to work and how we're going to recommend that you do things. And so you can definitely go to productivedentist.com, and you'll see the information about this 30-day course. And that's kind of a change for us. We've done everything live, programs and everything else. So we're going to do some online, and you're going to get a lot of access to a lot of content and a lot of details. So if you have an interest in there, I'd recommend you go there.
Absolutely. I'll try to put a link over there in the chat for that as well. All right. Next one. This is a good question we get a lot. You have mentioned maximum interest rate allowed in different states. What is the maximum interest rate you can charge in Texas? That's good because we are in Texas. We know that one off the top of our heads.
We go 18% in Texas. There's states like Michigan at 7%, plus you can add 2%. There's Nebraska is different. I mean, there's some states you can't. There are a few states out there you can charge 100% interest, but we try to keep it at 17.9 across the board, unless there's certain states. And what I will tell you is people get concerned. Well, I can only charge 7. Well, that's not going to help offset my risk. We have about 40 to 50 offices that, because of religious reasons, they literally charge 0% interest. Now, it's a whole philosophy of now it's 0% interest. We'll do so you don't have the offset of risk. However, they raise their fees 7% across the board. So, and they were a fee for service type practice, and that's kind of what they have done. It's all fee for service. So they raise their fees 7%, but allow monthly payments at 0%. You can play with the numbers. You can do that. I mean, it's certainly, you can do whatever you want if you're in that fee for service environment. But they love compassionate. I mean, because they get to do lots of dentistry, and that's paying them monthly. Now, it doesn't have interest involved, but they're paying them monthly. So the increase in their fee allowed them to cover their risk, if that makes sense.
100%. Okay, I'm not sure about this question here. Can you bring back the dashboard for Abella? I can find reports, but dashboard is gone.
Info. I mean, find out who that is, and then you can work with them individually.
You bet. That sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and reply to you with my email address and the info out of Bella email, and we'll get you all situated. Okay, a follow-up from Dr. McElvin here is the ADS. That is the suction system directly out of the mouth. I remember Howard Fran said, don't do anything you wouldn't do. AC after Corona. That's starting to take off. The BC.
That's right. After Corona. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good system. We actually have one of our PDA docs who right now is developing. I mean, it is innovative. You're going to see it. It's so innovative. Instead of us wearing a shield, there's actually a shield that you work under, and it actually has a suction system off of that shield. And anyway, you'll hear a lot more about that. It's an innovative, just creative way of kind of getting back to normal without kind of all the gear, and it's eliminating a huge amount of splatter and a huge amount of aerosol. So. And now, if you've seen the new report from the CDC says, you really can't contract it off of surfaces like they thought. So that's a big deal for dentistry. When you're fogging your operatories and doing everything like that because of the aerosol, unless the patient goes over and rubs their nose on your desk, then I don't think you're going to have a problem. And I'll be honest, I've told you guys this. I don't think there's a chance in hell that a patient's going to get it in our office, and I don't think there's a chance in hell we're going to get it in the office. What I'm afraid is one of my team members is going to go up to Walmart without a mask on and get coronavirus, and then shut down my office for 2 weeks while everybody's under quarantine. That's what I'm worried about. But I'm not worried about us. I'm just not.
All right. Let's see here. Can we set up to work a monthly can we set up Abella to work with monthly payments, i.e. ortho payment?
You might want to do that ahead of time using compassionate finance. And we can set a product for you that says perhaps you wanted to do 0% interest, but you want to have monthly payments. That's a nice thing with ortho because you can always take the braces off if they don't pay. But that can be set up on compassionate finance. Abella is going to be more after the fact, so I would use the compassionate finance to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Now you can use Abella to give monthly payments on top of that balance. Like, hey, you owe $300, one payment or 3 payments. What do you want to do? So yeah, that compassionate kind of sounds like that would make more sense for that one.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do if an account needs to go to collections, and how is that handled? So that would be for compassionate finance.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what we've done the last 9.5 years. We just tell you, just write it off. It's probably going to be a bad debt. It's going to be bad collectible. Just write it off. What I had done is I would write a letter to the patient saying, Bob, I know things are tough for you right now. I'm writing off this balance. You don't owe us anything. I'm still your dentist. God bless you guys. I hope you get everything turned around. We had 5 cases. I did that. We had 3 of them come in when they could and actually paid off their balances. And that is a wonderful way of helping people. Another way, which we now know, is we're going to be aggregating all of the debt, all of the stuff that defaulted. And we're now working to find a place that wants to buy that paper. And so you might be able to get 8 or 10 cents on the dollar, better than writing it off and getting 0. So we're working on that right now. That's going to be a part of what we're offering in the future, but and we're probably 3 months away from taking all the old debt paper and actually selling it. And once we have that in place, we'll probably be doing that on every 6 months. we'll probably sell that paper, and you can expect a little add-on check that you didn't even expect, probably enough to cover your monthly expenses that you're paying.
Yeah. And I mean, we have a team. We have a team that works to get patients back on track. I posted our Facebook review link earlier, and you can go in and you can read that. So when a patient says, hey, I might need to miss a payment, or hey, can I move a payment date? They're calling us. They're not calling you and bothering you about it. We are making that adjustment. We are connecting with your office. We are letting you know. We are checking in. If a patient does not pay, and we cannot get a hold of them, we work that account for up to 180 days. At that point, we consider the account exhausted, and that's when we call you to say, hey, what would you like to do? Write this off or turn this over to collections. So we don't just leave you hanging. We do have a team that does try to work to get those patients back on track. And if you go read some of those reviews, you'll see tons of patients who said, hey, I need to move my payment once 2 weeks, and I finished payment. We've had patients pay off, I think it was $13,000 with a credit score of 550 over a 5-year period to completion. So we do that.
Yeah, we see that all the time.
Oh, right. Are you opening a separate account for tracking purposes so you can distinguish regular AR versus Bella?
No, the separate account is for compassionate finance, not a Bella. A Bella money goes right into your practice management account. The compassionate finance account, you're opening up a separate account there specifically because you're now starting a second business. That's what I'm calling it. It's your secondary business. It is your evergreen revenue. It's the one thing you wish you had during a pandemic, but you didn't. And now you've got money coming in, whether you're there or not, because everything we do is tied to whether the drill's turning. Well, this is not. I turn the drill. I do one case a week, 2 cases. I'm doing 25 grand a month in this, and I am recession proofing my business. I really am. I could be suffering here, but you watch. We've had docs buy an airplane with the money that's there. We've had docs pay off their house. We've had docs, do all kinds of things. The real interesting thing is the paper itself that's paying into that account. That paper has value. So if you had $1 million in paper, which is what Gary said, they want to get to $1 million. You could go use that as collateral on undervalued real estate and say, well, I've got $1 million in paper that's performing. And they said, okay, well, we'll use that as your down payment. And you can buy the shopping center. That's going to be $1.5 million shopping center, but you can buy it. You use that as collateral, and bingo, you had put no money down, and you just picked up a totally depressed piece of real estate that you're going to make money on too in the future. There's so many different investment things you can do when you have an asset portfolio of paper.
All right. Have you begun to differentiate your interest charges based on credit rating, A, B, C, D, E's?
We do, and I'm sorry I didn't have that one slide I have. The A's are, we're actually going to probably be lowering it. Right now it's at 9.9. We're probably going to be lowering those interest rates. 9.9, 11.9, 13.9, 15.9, 17.9. A, B, C, D, and E. E's 500 below. The A's are 730 to 850, I think, and the B's are 660 to 730. So yeah, based on credit score, we do the interest, but based on whether we approve them or not, we go further into their checking history and look at that. So that helps.
All right. Do you have a collections company you work with?
I think we have one company that we do send to, but the truth is when people don't have money, I think that this default paper, the paper that's defaulted, I'll be letting you guys know more over the next 3 months. Once we get this deal done, then we'll have a place that they'll buy that paper. I think the chances of collecting it, it's kind of like getting blood out of a turnip. You just, they don't have money and it's hard. Whereas the way that these other guys do business, they're willing to pay 10 cents on the dollar. They're willing to put up, $10,000 for 100,000 in paper, and they'll go out and collect their money, and they're very successful at it. But they also know what they have to collect. So no is the answer, or yes is the answer.
All right, this might be a little bit more of a PDA question, but do you provide online training for treatment and financial options presentation? What is the best way for me to track treatment presented and accepted on a daily basis in Dentrix?
We have trackers with productive dentists that we track how much we diagnose and how much we actually do. And it's interesting, you could go and kind of get involved with that. I mean, with that course, I mean, it's going to be 30 days and then we're going to have some other courses afterwards. But I think that would give you a lot of insight and a lot of information about that. Um, we know that, most dentists, it's hard to track, but I know for a fact after PDA, productive dentists have been around 16 years. I know that you're going to do the following month, if you did $100,000 worth of treatment plans, the next month you're going to do about $35,000 worth of dentistry off those. Now that doesn't mean you have a 35% treatment acceptance rate. It's just, that's what we know. And we've seen it across thousands of offices. So what I tell you is if you want to do more dentistry, you have to diagnose more dentistry. And we call it the 3-to-1. And so, and compassionate actually helps that because you're actually getting to do more dentistry than you would have. So, but yeah, I think PDA could really give you a ton of information, and increasing your production per hour is what we teach. So instead of you doing 425 an hour, it's not unusual for us to have docs doing 700 an hour, 1,000 an hour. We call them our grand slammers. If you're over 1,000 an hour, and 1,000 an hour on 16 hour, you're producing 1.6 million just your own self, not your hygiene, not anybody else. And so it's not unusual. And we probably have, I don't know, we have 35 or 40 grand slammers that have been through PDA. So that's what we call them. We have some docs that are even higher than that. So.
All right. Perfect. Yeah, I put the link to Productive Dentist Academy over into the chat there. So do give that a click. That Reigniting Success program is going to be very exciting. So if you participate in that, get free Compassion Finance, get free Abella until July 1st. I mean, you are going to be rocking the second half of 2020. That's for sure. And that brings us to the end of all of our questions today, Dr. Baird. You batted 1,000, cleaned the board.
In the board. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. We're still going to be doing some webinars next week to finish up the month of May. And then in June, we're going to start doing some evenings because hopefully everybody will be back to work. That's what my hope is. And we'll be letting you know, evening times and everything else. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.